In today's video, we're going to explain why lower back pain happens, how it happens, and how you can prevent it in the future. I'm going to show you 3 moves that you can do to prevent it and why it keeps coming back. Today, we're literally going to cut the lower back pain out for good. So stick around. So first, we have to understand why lower back pain happens in the first place. Now, most of the time when you go see a chiropractor or physical therapist, they will put the joint into alignment. So what's happening for your lower back? What's causing this back pain to happen? Think about this axe head as your hip and this, handle part as your spine. As we sit at a desk or we get tight here, we develop what's called a muscular imbalance, where the muscles pull too hard on one side and the other side, the opposite side, isn't pulling hard enough. So we start to tilt down and forward. Now this creates more pressure on the lower back itself. It'll even push the discs out of alignment and create bulging discs. Most Americans actually have had some sort of bulging disc within the last year. Here's the stat right here. All right, now, how do we diagnose it? How do we fix it? So the first thing I want you to do is something we do for all of our Reset You clients. Literally just an overhead squat test. And with this, I can show you every single piece of your body that's out of alignment. Now you are a novice, you've never done this before. So what I want you to do is just take it slow and follow along. So first things first, you need a stick, a broomstick, or in this case, an axe. You're going to make 90-degree angles with the axe above your head, press it up and forward, put your feet shoulder width apart, and you're going to squat 3 times to the front and then 3 to the side. Videotape yourself using your cell phone. Put it in portrait mode, that way you can see everything. Now, what you're going to see is a breakdown of what could happen and where your hips are going. So first things first, on that side view, does the bar, broomstick or anything move forward? If it moves forward at all, it means that your hips are tight. With your hips being tight, remember that pelvis is slightly out of alignment, causing more friction on the lower back. We're gonna show you how to fix that later on in the video. Second, are your knees going in or out? That will tell you as you squat if this femur, this long bone here, is in alignment properly. Now, if it's not, it's going to be going in. There's a good chance you have a really tight groin, and this outer area here is impinged, causing your hip to be super, super, super tight. It's got another cause of lower back pain. Now, if they go too wide, like this, or like this, you're gonna have a lot of glute and IT band issues because those muscles are so tight. Now, the last one you wanna think about is if your hips are completely rotated. So say this is my hips flat, if they're just tilted, one hip is higher. A lot of times your chiropractor or your physical therapist will say, hey, you have a shorter leg than the other. This can actually be caused by just the tissue here above the hip pulling too hard and pulling the hip up like so. How that'll look is it'll look like one foot's kind of staggered in front of the other when you're squatting, and this feels natural to you, even though one foot's in front of the other. Now, if you have any of those hip problems, the easy fix for the symptoms are the stretches we're going to do. The long-term fix is to get those muscles to activate and hold it in place. So that way, we're not just glorified chiropractors or physical therapists or people that are watching YouTube videos trying to fix their body, we're actually fixing it long-term. Then we can get those muscles to activate on those opposite sides and hold everything in place so there's an equal and opposite tug-of-war game. So check out these stretches. All right, so the first stretch we're gonna do to loosen up the hips, because remember, if we can get the hips to be loose, that's getting a foundation solid for a perfect lower back without tension. First thing we're gonna do is a hip flexor lunge stretch. So your hip flexor, your psoas, the muscles that come around the hip and then down and forward. You wanna raise your arms above your head and then drop this pelvis down forward and diagonal so that you can get a good stretch here in this hip flexor. It's very important to keep your spine straight when you do this, and you're gonna hold this for at least 30 seconds. I would say 90 seconds is best. And then rotate over the front leg to create even more of a stretch. The next one is a Spider-Man stretch. So you're gonna take that same hip flexor lunge you just did, you're gonna walk this foot outward and create a diagonal angle. From here, I want you to put your hand into the ground, the opposite hand, and then one hand into the inner thigh. Now we're gonna push this away from center externally and look away. You're gonna feel it bind up like a large spring, like a bed spring in the back of your hip capsule, and that's good. I want you to push this and look away 5 times. Now on your 5th time, it's gonna start to loosen on its own. You don't have to press past anything. Then take your elbow and place it next to your heel, and slowly start to take your chest and push it away from that hip. Once you're here, you should feel a good stretch on the back side of this hip in this hip capsule. We've got one more for you. The last stretch we're gonna do is a pigeon stretch. Now this one, I want you to use a couch at your house or a padded bench. It has to be padded because it's gonna cause a lot of pain. Now your setup, you're gonna flop your calf so that the outside of your calf or shin is showing. Hold yourself up, and then you're gonna lower your back knee nice and slow into this stretch here. Now this is plenty of stretch for most people. In fact, if you can't get into this stretch, raise up the back side, give yourself like a yoga block or something so you're higher up and you have less stretch here. From here, you would hold this for 90 seconds. You don't have to lean forward and do all of this stuff. Most people don't have that flexibility, nor do you need it. This is perfectly fine. Hold here for 90 seconds and just rotate through this hip capsule until you feel it release. Doing these 3 stretches at least once a day will dramatically change the way your hips are in alignment and the amount of lower back pain you have. Now you have all the stretches that will help you relieve lower back pain. Remember, if you're not doing resistance training, tearing muscle fibers, getting those muscles to grow on the opposite side, the back pain is going to just return. Mark my words, it's gonna come back. So what I would recommend is get a personal assessment, either from us here at Reset You or from a local trainer or a physical therapist to give you workout programming to solidify everything that you're doing for the long term. Or you could just subscribe like right there, below, right here, and then get the next video where we teach you proper workout programming to stabilize your back. It's up to you.